One of the most important elements of Italian-American gangster films is the food, which of course used to illustrate the people's proud Italian heritage, but also often served the story's plot to illustrate something different. Obviously, the oranges in Godfather representing death, and Goodfellas, the ketchup at Tommy's mother's house, supposed to represent blood, and the prison scenes illustrating the characters' comfortability and power they had in prison in Goodfellas. And Scorsese's other gangster film, Casino, using the blueberry muffins to illustrate Robert De Niro's character's need for perfection. And The Sopranos, of course, had similar ideas, which I'd like to talk about in this video. Now, the dinner scenes are obviously prevalent throughout the series, whereas a lot of the business meetings are conducted, whether at Artie's restaurant or at Satriali's, where they are often shown surrounded by food or eating food, wherein several key scenes happen in these moments. For example, the crew finding out about Vito being gay.
Vito was blowing the security guard.
Son of a bitch!
Wherein after finding out, Tony gives Finn money for food. Jerry is assassinated at a restaurant whilst having dinner with Silvio Dante. FBI character Agent Harris often comes to Satriali's for a sandwich, and several more scenes are like this. The first character in the series to die on screen, Emile, dies whilst at Satriali's, whilst food is mentioned throughout the conversation and present throughout the scene. Credits of a butcher knife and pig's head obviously comparing the brutal murder of a pig to the brutal murder Christopher just committed. Now, food is a key aspect to Tony Soprano's character, that aspect being his panic attacks and blackouts, which often happen in the vicinity of food. His first one happens whilst he's barbecuing. First time Tony ever had a panic attack, it was triggered by food, wherein Tony collapses after seeing his mother cut a piece of meat, due to it reminding him of an event earlier in the day when Mr. Satriali's pinky was cut off, which we are shown via a flashback triggered by Tony after eating some gabagool. Tony collapses after confronting Richie Aprile, wherein Tony is stuffing his face with food and drink. And his infamous racist collapse, wherein he collapses after seeing some Uncle Ben's rice. And the show's ending, of course, depending on how you feel, Tony is either dead or alive. However, we do see him eating the onion rings, and of course he's about to eat dinner, when the screen literally blacks out, like Tony does during his attacks. Thus, food seems to be a sort of trigger for Tony, and a source of trauma, consciously and subconsciously, wherein during Tony's fever dreams, he is talking to a literal fish, thus food again, wherein it reveals itself to be Pussy, who straight up tells Tony about him being a snitch.
You know I've been working with the government, right, Tom?
Don't say it.
Christopher similarly, dreams involve food, wherein it's made quite clear that the dream is Christopher's subconscious bringing to light his feeling of not belonging or being not good enough. Tony's affinity for food is of course made obvious by his appearance, which he's shown to be overweight, which he does get sensitive about when he's called out. For example, when Tony B tells him,
"Boy, are you fat."
What'd you say?
which of course offends Tony. So Tony calling out Bobby and Pussy for being fat and their lack of exercise, despite him also being similar in appearance.
Fat fuck. Why don't you look in the mirror sometime, you insensitive cocksucker?
Which we see when Tony beats up Perry, wherein from Tony's POV, we see him looking at Perry's muscles. And in order to gain more respect and keep his power, beats up Perry, the most physically strong member of the mob. Of course, Tony isn't the only fat character, there are many more and are usually at the expense of jokes. Infamously, Jenny Sack getting made fun of for her weight several times, most notably Ralph, which Johnny Sack puts out a hit on Ralph because of said joke, and Bobby, who is constantly the source of several fat jokes from multiple people.
It's like an ad for a fucking weight loss center.
Think on this, bigger boy.
Though thanks to the actor having to wear a fat suit in order to make him look that fat in the early seasons.
A
Nice
fucking
restaurant.
Bobby Bacala with a fat, fake stomach. It's from the days when I wore the fat stone.
Oh, they made you put like a prosthesis
For
on,
2
right?
years, yeah. Then I got fat enough on my own.
Show also establishes Tony's concern about his son almost ending up like him, as we see throughout the series, where in several scenes of Tony, this exact fear comes to light. Rather cruelly when AJ drops a plate of food in front of Tony and Carmela, leading to Tony getting enraged and insulting him.
I'm supposed to get a vasectomy when this is my male heir? Look at him.
Now, I touched on earlier the finale, which I think also hints as to what happens to Tony. Now again, Tony is affected by food, as AJ says his favourite film scene is a restaurant scene in The Godfather.
It's Godfather.
When Michael Corleone shoots those guys in the restaurant, those assholes who tried to kill his dad, you sit there with your fucking bowl of ice cream and you say it's your favorite scene of all time.
Now, I personally believe Tony is dead in the show's finale. There are several hints, like I mentioned, about Tony's blackouts often involving food in some way, like the finale, which takes place in a diner. And thus, Tony's final scene is him in a restaurant whilst getting shot, much like how the characters die in Tony's favourite film scene in The Godfather, which he watches whilst stuffing himself with ice cream. Overall, I believe food, like in many great gangster films that came before and influenced the show, is used to illustrate several themes from power to violence and death, to obesity, etc., etc., thus adding another layer to The Sopranos in my opinion.